Hi, this week we are going to be continuing our study on information literacy skills. And this week we are going to be talking about how to determine if a website is a good source of information and how to tell the difference between sources that have a lot of bias and sources that are credible sources of information. So we are going to be looking at each of these standards, so identifying possible sources of information, making critical choices about information sources to use, and systematically questioning and assessing the validity of these sources of information. And this is a really important skill for everyone to have as a student and out in the real world, because in this very rich digital age, anyone can post anything on their website or on YouTube. And so it's really important for us to decide if it's a good and credible source of information for us to use as a part of our learning. So you are going to be choosing one of these websites. There are 4 for you to choose from. You're going to pick one, and you're going to use the resources below that I'll talk about here in a second to decide if you think it is a credible source of information. And you're going to need to be ready to talk about why you think it's a credible source of information or not. Over here, you'll see there are a set of discussion questions for you to use after you are done evaluating your website. You're going to list what the website was that you evaluated. You're going to decide if you thought it was a credible information source or not. And you're going to need to talk about what indicators on the website led you to believe it was credible or it was not credible. And then the final piece will be to talk about if you were going to do a research project, if you would use that as a part of your resources, if you thought it was credible. So I'm going to scroll down here, and we're going to look at, there are 10 resources here that are all hyperlinked on our Padlet page. And you can use any or all of these resources to determine if you thought your website was credible. There are checklists, there are good tips on here to look to see if you thought it was a credible source of information or not. So be sure you check these out to help you make your decisions. And like I said, we are going to be discussing which you thought were credible, which you thought were not, as a class. So like I said, only choose one website, but as a group, we'll talk about each of them. And I'm looking forward to hearing what you think. Thanks.